Okay, so something really messed up and kind of scary happened today, just a few hours ago, that I want to talk about. Welcome to episode 2 of Men's Rights After Dark. I almost wanted to do like this as like a normal video, but I'm gonna do an after dark video, and I kind of like this lighting too. It kind of looks like a night vision or something. But anyway, I was talking in the last video, the last after dark video, about how I'm an MRA on Tinder. Well, long story short, this girl tried to get me fired today from Tinder. She actually tried to find out my information and dox me and email my boss to try and get me fired. Now, it didn't happen because I didn't give her my actual place of work, but it's pretty like messed up that she tried to do that. It really kind of feels like the beginning of like a dystopian or like fascist society where you have people like targeting people like that and like trying to get them fired just because they say that they're an MRA. Like it's really kind of scary when you think about it. But basically what happens, we matched on Tinder and she asked me casually, "Oh, you're an MRA?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And she said, "Oh, okay, that's okay." And I says, like, "What do you think about that?" And she said, "Oh, that's fine, you know." And we got to talking, and she started asking, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And I said, "Oh, well, right now with lockdown, everything's kind of shut down, so I haven't really been working." But she kept asking me, like in a really weird way, like, "What do you do for a living? Like, what's your job? Like, what are you applying for? Like, what's the last things that you do?" And I thought this was very suspicious, so I made something up. I told her, "Oh, well, I actually got a job with the Census Bureau, and I've been making phone calls for the Census Bureau." Now, that's not true, but I wanted to see where she was going because I had a feeling that it was going somewhere strange. And so she said, "Okay, well, just to let you know, I have your name, I have your picture, and I know where you work. I'm going to be contacting the Census Bureau today. I'm going to be sending their information, and I'm going to be asking them, why do they have someone hired who's part of a hate group? Like, are you serious? Like, what if that job was the only reason why I'm not? Now, I am actually working. I'm not going to say where or what. It's not the Census Bureau, so it's not going to do any actual damage. But what if losing that job meant that I lose my apartment and I end up being homeless on the streets or starving? Like, she's willing to do that just because I say I'm an MRA. And it's not like I said anything bad. It's not like I have crazy views like, "Oh, I'm against abortion," or "I don't think women should work in the workplace," which I don't believe either of those things. She didn't even ask me what my views as an MRA were. She didn't even ask me, "Well, what do you think about this?" She just said, "Oh, okay, that's cool," and then went back to the conversation, like trying to figure out like what I do for work, how to find me. The whole conversation, the whole thing she was planning on doing was to try and get me in trouble and to try and get me fired, just because I say I'm an MRA. That is like seriously, seriously messed up. Um, that's like something out of the Cultural Revolution with the Red Guards in China in the 60s, which is something that a lot of people should study that a lot of people don't know. How communism came to China with the Red Guards and the Cultural Revolution in the 60s. For those of you who don't know how that story ended, I'm going to link the Wikipedia page as a good thing to read and good thing to learn about because I think it kind of reflects what's going on right now. With like the more radical and extreme SJWs would be the equivalent of the Red Guards. Basically, the Red Guards were a mostly students and young adult group who they were like a paramilitary organization, and they kind of took over the country and put the Communist Party in power. The part of the story that people don't know is that after that was done, once Mao Zedong took power, he had all of them slaughtered. He had millions of them taken out to a field, or I guess fields, and massacred and buried in mass graves. So they were basically used and then they were basically executed, which is, I'm not sure how much that parallels today, but when you see things like the Chop Zone in Seattle, I do think there's a lot of extreme attitudes going on right now. And the fact that I would be targeted for something like this to get me fired at a time when she knows how tough the economy is, she knows that might be the reason why I starved to death. Or maybe not starve to death, but lose my job and be on the streets hungry all the time. Or not be able to pay for my medical bills. So maybe I could have died from not having that job. You know, it's really kind of a scary thing.